Hello everyone, this is Brian Ankney with Auto Success Magazine. Hey, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us today. We've got some really good content to share with you. Today our guest is Jeff Allen. He is the Director of Major Accounts at PureCars. A couple of things before I introduce Jeff and let him get started. I just want to remind everybody how to ask questions. We're going to hold the questions until the end, but you're welcome to ask them as you think of them. If you look on the GoToWebinar pane that comes up on the side of your screen, you'll see questions in the list of things. If you hit that plus, a little box will appear where you can type questions, and you can enter them anytime during the webinar, and then I'll ask them to Jeff at the end of the webinar. Please, if you have any questions, please ask them. We're here to help, and we hope you learn a lot today. Jeff, take it away, my friend.
All right, thank you very much. So, if I can. All right, so let's talk a little bit about who PureCars is first. PureCars was founded in 2007 with really a mission to provide more relevant information to improve the car buying experience. And kind of paraphrasing that a bit, it's really about structuring data in a way that improves the customer experience, moves that customer through the buying cycle faster, cleaner, and more efficiently for our clients. We're currently one of 7 Google Premier SMB partners, and we've just recently, over the last several months, been required by Raycom. We're real excited about that, and it really is this kind of this cutting-edge time period we live in. We're bridging the gap between broadcast, or what's been traditionally known as broadcast, and digital advertising, and we are a constant member on the Inc. 5,000 fastest growing company. It's a real kind of entrepreneurial spirit here. It's a real fun place to work. Lots of energy. It's a great place. So a little bit about me. I've been in the auto industry for about 15 years. Over that time, I've worked for both Tier 1, 2, and 3. Currently, or most recently, I worked with the Southeast Regional headquarters with General Motors as the in-market retail program with Cobalt. I've also worked with 22 Squared with Southeast Toyota as the Director of Analytics, and most recently here at PureCars, where I'm working with major accounts. And the way that we choose to do that here is really incorporating data into analytics, and then using that to make and save money for our clients. So today we're going to talk about targeting to test drive. The goal really is to be seen, to win the click, and then to make an impact, right? Ultimately, to get them, get that shopper, from the website, either to the phone, to the showroom, in the car, right, to over the curb with the vehicle. The secret really is no secret. The secret is increasing efficiency today. So there's a lot being said, written about how increasing inventory turnover rates is really the key. Amen to that. That is the goal for 2016. As an industry, where we saw 20% margin compression last year, we had 17.5 million new cars sold last year, another just absolute banner year for new car sales. But there's 3 million off-lease used vehicles that are now on the market as well. And as long as the volume keeps up, volume cures all ills. Things are going to be fine. But we believe that this is and we're not the only ones who believe this, right? This is a kind of the industry discussion today, is that we're in this transition period. And when you're in a transition period, from a cycle, whether you're at the top or the bottom, the goal really is efficiency. And targeting is a very simple way. It's a very straightforward way to improve efficiency. So why are we going to target? Why targeting? So this slide is, we've seen this slide for many different years. This is historically the slide where an agency or a provider would show you a funnel, right? The funnel that we're all very familiar with in the auto space that shows, shoppers to browsers to buyers, right? Or browsers to shoppers to buyers, however you want to phrase that. But, over this last year, there was a new study by Google called Micro Moments. And this is not a micro moment deck. This is about targeting. But before we get into it, we really kind of have to talk about what micro moments mean, because it affects everything that we do, including targeting. And there's three main tenets of micro moments, and I'm going to sum this up very quickly. And I'm paraphrasing as well. It's commit to be there, right? So there are more searches being done today. People have these micro moments, again, as Google calls them, where we can all say, and we've been in a conversation, and whether it's not, you're looking for, oh, what's the MPG on this new vehicle? Who is the actor that was in this movie? Right? We all have our mobile phones, our cell phones. We pull it up, and we'll make that quick query, in the moment, right? And we make these thousands of times a day. What that means to an auto dealer is that you really have to commit to be there, because it is more expensive today. If your budget is the same as it has been for the last several years, your impression share will be going down. Just plain and simple, because there is more searches being done. You've really got to commit to be there. When you are there and when you are found, you have to be relevant. There are so many avenues for shoppers for searchers out there to get relevant information. You have to have what they're looking for. So that means from an ad copy perspective, whether it's display or search, the destination URL has to be dead on. You're going to get one shot at this before someone hits the back button and does another search or tries somebody else. You've got to have relevant content. You've got to be there. And then lastly, you've got to be quick. Be quick is basically serve the mobile customer, though this same tenet applies to desktop sites as well. And really, it's, while Google does frame this as, kind of be quick, it's really about provide a good customer experience. And that's a little bit broader than Google may kind of phrase it in the micro moments, but it really is true. You've got to lay out your pages well. You've got to serve them up quickly. And again, you've got to be able to answer the questions that are relevant. And again, I only want to bring this up because this is really about efficiency today, and targeting is going to follow these same tenets. We're all on the same path. So I'm going to touch on 4 types of targeting. First one being geo. Geo is just that, geography-based. It's very straightforward. It's very simple to understand. That will be quick. Behavioral, sometimes called BT, or behavioral targeting. It's based upon the user's online behavior. Again, I think that's relatively simple to understand. Customer match. Customer match is a feature that Google has offered over the last year where you can incorporate emails from a CRM database. That'll be, we'll spend a little bit more time there. And then lastly, retargeting. Retargeting being a methodology that dealers have incorporated for many years. It's very successful, and we'll end with that. Now, I'm going to talk about these uniquely, but in reality, these should all be layered on top of each other. And what I mean by that is when we layer here at PureCars, or when your vendor is layering these different targeting tactics on top of each other, they really should be doing this in a transparent environment where you're targeting and you're able to learn with the results. So I know we all, and I'm going to use a baseball analogy here, we all walk up and we try to hit a home run. Or a lot of our clients will try to hit that home run every single time they get up to the box. In reality, we often see better success when a dealer can put together a run of singles, maybe an occasional double, and ultimately that's going to provide more efficiency and also more learning. So when these sweeping changes are made, oftentimes that's one of the biggest mistakes that we see within the industry, is that a vendor or a partner will make a massive change where many variables are changing. And ultimately what that does is it really dilutes the learning. And you don't understand what change really did make the difference from turning a poor campaign into a successful one. So I just want to kind of lay the groundwork there too, that these are not mutually exclusive and that they can and should be layered together. All right, geotargeting. Again, pretty straightforward. It's typically seen as a radius-based focus where you're targeting your backyard. You're based upon the proximity of your dealership or really any address That's oftentimes a competitor's dealership if your OEM covenant allows that. So it doesn't have to be just your dealership. It can be really any address that's out there. And you dealers out there will know what your PMAs or what your covenant allows you to do. But again, it's relatively simple. It's effective. It's easy to understand. It's often sometimes called geofencing. But these all really refer back to the same thing. However, there is an area of opportunity that we see within geotargeting that's not always taken advantage of. And that's taking the geo down, which is typically a radius, down to the zip level. And there's a couple reasons why this is important and why this should be enacted. First off, it's more granular. It gives you another data point where you can then segment the users. And really what targeting is all about is this audience segmentation. So imagine this image that you see here. Let's just say that this is a 10-mile radius. And within this 10-mile radius of a dealership, you're going to have zip codes behaving differently. No one's going to argue that fact. At the end of the day, when we're looking for efficiency gains, and understanding that we're not working with unlimited budgets, and that our goal is to maximize the opportunities, is that we may choose, or any vendor may choose, should choose, to target certain zips over other zips. And again, that's just based upon the results that we see. And what should happen is that your targeting, or which is typically talked about as spend targeting, right, where the ad is being clicked on or served, really should be overlaid with other data points. So I've shown a couple up here as well. Sales is kind of the easy barometer, and that's really the goal. So sometimes we talk about maximizing return on investment, or ROI. Some of our clients talk about return on ad spend, others cost per VDP. So however you're keeping score, if you can keep score at the zip level as opposed to a more general radius, then again it gives you more opportunities to target, to segment, and to learn. Behavioral, or again sometimes called BT, is based upon online signals of your shoppers. So these are people that have not been to your website. In other words, they have not been cookied, they have not been tagged, but based upon their actions online, you or your provider will put them into buckets. For example, an auto intensive. So let's look at this potential shopper here. So this is a shopper who's visited websites about hybrid cars. They've searched on Google for hybrid cars. They've watched videos on hybrids. Maybe they've done some sharing on Facebook, again, around a vehicle, or they're reading blogs about hybrid vehicles. Now, while this person has never identified themselves to a dealership directly by coming to the site, behaviorally, they are following the actions of someone who could be classified as in-market. Right? That in-market shopper is being identified by their online behaviors, hence behavioral targeting. So it's a way to segment people based upon their actions and to target people based upon online learning. Again, pretty straightforward. And this is typically, of all the targetings we're going to talk about, this is one that is most typically applied to other forms of targeting. For example, you'd want to most certainly apply a geo radius to behavioral. Right? So you'd want to target those certain zip codes that are within a radius around your dealership, in your backyard, again, whoever it may be, wherever that may be. But this is a great way to prospect for clients, again, that have not yet identified themselves to you by coming to their site or coming to your dealership. Customer match. Customer match is a relatively new form of targeting. And what it is, it's utilizing CRM data like email, for example, to target your existing customers within a Google Maps feature. And there's a couple strings to this. One of those is that, first off, the user's email address must be on the Google platform. Now, that does not mean that it has to be a Gmail address. So as common as Gmail addresses are, the Google account addresses are even more common. So, for example, PureCars here, even though all of our emails here are at PureCars.com, we are on a Google platform, and therefore those are considered Google accounts. So one of the strings with customer match is that there needs to be at minimum 1,000 Google accounts within your database. And I'll come back to that in just 1 minute. But that's a common question we get here. So how does it work? So let's take Joe. So Joe is a loyal customer of yours, and whether he's on the front or the back, or he's bought cars with you, or he's serviced with you before, your system is indicating that Joe is due for something, right? Whether it be he's due for his 30K service or his lease is about to expire, you know that today is a good time to talk to Joe. Well, when Joe is out online searching, you can serve him an ad based upon his auto-related searches, even though he's not specifically targeting you. So another way to put this is very similar to what Google calls remarketing lists for search ads, or RLSA. And really what it is in practice, what it means for most clients is that you know that you are able to create groups. These groups or segments are marketed differently. So for example, let's say Joe is in a service group where he is a past service customer, and you know that he is due based upon the number of miles that he is anticipated to be at. Well, you can bid differently when Joe is searching online for, let's say, 30K services, 60K services, whatever it may be. So you're choosing to segment him out and to serve ads to him uniquely based upon your knowledge of his experience with your dealership. Now, another key point to this is that there is no PII, right, or no personal identifiable information that's passed here. So how it works is that we will receive an email list from you, the client, and again, there has to be 1,000 or more for this even to get started. We upload these into a user group or multiple user groups. We then set up rules to target these customers, again, whether we're talking about front-end or back-end services. Now, we can also target new buyers here as well. New buyers being those that maybe you potentially have bought an email list, or you have acquired a list that are in-market shoppers, for example. Now, if you can acquire that, we can then target these users uniquely and report out to you uniquely on their behavior within search or even within display. So if you have more questions about this, please look at purecars.com/customer match or contact us here, and we'll be happy to explain it more. We have seen some good successes with this, and again, the caveat being that there needs to be at least 1,000 Google addresses even to get started, but that's not as big of an obstacle as it may sound. Just looking at some of the databases that we have received here. And again, just to point out as well that there's no personal identifiable information or PII transferred here. These are set up as groups, and from a privacy standpoint, there's really no concerns. And then lastly, I want to talk about retargeting. Retargeting is sometimes called remarketing, is engaging people, re-engaging visitors that have come to your site. So these are people that have, almost by default, identified themselves as being in market, right? In market either for a vehicle, for example, if they've seen VDP pages, in market for service, if they've come to your service page or seen videos on your page, on your website about, what's in this particular service or what are the service special menus. these are people that can be re-engaged effectively at a very high rate of success, again, because they've identified themselves, self-identified as coming to your site. So they're almost by default in-market shoppers. Now, we also know that with sites or with shoppers today visiting almost 30 resources, 30 sources out there before making a decision, right, and only showing up at the dealership 1.3 times on average before purchasing a vehicle, it's really important to engage these visitors when they come to your site. They're also coming to your competitor sites. They're coming to other sites that are also retargeting these visitors. This is a form of targeting that really should not be missed. And not only will you have good success here, you'll likely have more success here than other forms of targeting, again, kind of based upon the strategy that you want to employ. So again, this is remarketing to individuals that have come to your site. Here we're showing examples of front end, but we could do the exact same thing, remarketing those that have come to service as well. And again, ideally, these pages will come right back to your website. You're displaying a specific ad that is based upon their shopping habits or what they have seen, what they're interested in. And these remarketing segments can be set up with us to increase the effectiveness of the targeting. So another way to put that is that you can resegment your site visitors based upon their interests or the pages that they see on your site. And that a service customer should not be targeted the same way as someone who is seeing VDP. Now what that does is that brings up a question really of creative. And dynamic creative is an easy way to overcome that creative obstacle, because in the simplest way, dynamic creative it's extremely effective. Again, from an operational side, it works, but most importantly, from a user experience side, we're retargeting creative with a VDP or an SRP that a shopper has already visited. So from a creative standpoint, it's hyper relevant. It shows them an image of a newer used car that they've previously seen. I think we've all maybe been hit, anyone that's done any online shopping, we've all been hit with ads before for things that we've put in our shopping cart or maybe not purchased. I know that may be a little bit creepy, but this is the world we live in today, and they work. So dynamic creative is a really a big win for the majority of our clients, specifically on low funnel shoppers that are looking kind of in market, in that quick decision mode. It shows them what they have shopped for directly, and it brings them directly back to that page. And it's, plain and simple, it works. So remarketing ads, over 1,000% increase in branded search, over 700% lift in site visitation after 4 weeks after being exposed. So we know, and that kind of makes sense, because people that are coming to your site are by default in market, right? So these people are in market already. The goal of targeting here is to most efficiently and most effectively bring them back to where they were, so that you're the winner and that you are the one who are driving them back online, back to your site, and ultimately into your showroom. So targeting in 2016, just as we get ready to close this is a very interesting year. As I started, this is a year in transition within the automotive in a macro sense. And that of the 3 million off-lease used cars, the big new car sales last year. So if that volume continues to, or if it begins to wane, and the margin compression that we saw last year continues, this is really all about efficiency. And add to that, this is a election year. It's also an Olympic year. So from a broadcast medium, things are getting very expensive, right? Or they're getting more expensive. Using some more advanced forms of digital targeting is a way to add that efficiency that may be lost as some clients are getting priced out of the market, or their return on ad spend is just getting tougher and tougher to justify. So please talk to your provider about some of these forms of targeting, this year specifically. And ultimately, it's about marketing to those that are most likely to buy. That's how we're all going to find the greatest level of efficiency. It's about layering these topics on top of each other and learning. As much as anything, 2016 should really be a year of learning and of sharing information and identifying what's working and where and doing more of it. So key takeaways, don't use just a radius. Please get more efficient. Do add zip. It's an easy layer of additional segmentation that allows you to market, even at the most simplest way, better. Re-engage your customers through retargeting. Again, it's a very effective way to bring people back to your site. Use precision. I mean, so all of this is really about marketing with precision, higher behavioral targeting rate, using customer match, getting more efficient. And at the end of the day, this is really about using information or turning data into information, right? And how do you do that? Well, you apply knowledge and expertise to it. And information is something that we can make and save money on, right? That's power. And that's the goal for a lot of our clients this year and in even the year before. We hear a lot about big data. Big data really is about using the data that we have available to us today, creating these user segments, and then learning from what we're doing, right? Tweaking them, making optimizations based upon what we've learned. And again, that's that single, double mentality, and that's ultimately what's going to win this year is in increasing efficiency and ultimately getting shoppers down to your showroom and into those vehicles. We're going to open it up to questions now.
Okay. Well, Jeff, that was fantastic. I got a couple questions for you. Jeff, how do you set up Google Customer Match to take advantage of customer targeting?
The way to do it, first off, if you're an existing PureCars client, please contact your success manager, and they'll walk you through it. But at a very simple, high level, we receive your CRM database, we upload it into Google, and we create segments based upon how you want to target. Again, front end versus, say, back end service. And really all we need is a CRM database, and then we take it from there.
Okay. Here's another one. What is the right mix of targeting? Where should I allocate my dollars?
Well, ultimately, the answer is we will learn that, right? That's maybe the best answer. Not every dealership or not every city DMA is created equal. There are very different competitive situations across all of our clientele. So not to be, but to try to answer the question more specifically, using a combination of targets, of tactics, is ultimately going to pay the best dividend. So if you have a small budget, typically and again your strategy is to re-engage, then remarketing is a very kind of simple way to put that money. If you have dollars available to prospect and your strategy is to kind of cut through the noise and shift some traditional spend over to digital and kind of cast a wider net, then behavioral in combination with geo is a great option, where you can add some efficiency and target those that are online shopping. And again, we know that that number is what, 30 today, or approaching 30 for online sources. There is a pool of people out there, and the targeting methodologies are getting better and better because there is more data. So it's not a one-size-fits-all answer, but at the simplest sense, a combination of tactics most likely should be employed.
Okay. Well, looks like that's the last question. Jeff, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to share all this great information with all of us. Everybody who's on the webinar, I appreciate you as well taking the time to join us today. If you have any questions or would like any additional information, you can reach out directly to Jeff or PureCars, or you're welcome to reach out to me and I can get you in touch with them. This is Brian Ankney with Auto Success. Again, I appreciate everybody taking the time, and I hope you join us again for a future webinar. Have a great afternoon.